Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mamas, welcome to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. I am Dr. Amber and I am thrilled to be talking with you this morning. And so at this time I'm recording, it is 6:44 in the morning on a Sunday. And by the time you listen to this episode, it will be the following Monday morning, maybe, I don't know. That's when the episode will be released. But either way, I'm excited to talk with you all this morning. And I want to talk with you all about wellness. And so many of you enjoyed the first episode of this season where I provided 9 questions for you to really decide how balanced you are in motherhood or how much balance that you have. And I wanted to do a very similar thing, but for wellness. Because in Balanced Working Mama, I've noticed that we've shifted a bit in terms of our focus. In the very, very beginning, when we started in February of 2020, our focus was really to help mamas find balance between work, motherhood, and wellness. And we still do that. We still focus on, finding the balance between those 3 things. But there's so many other things in between those 3 areas of our lives. And now we've more so shifted into how do we help inspire millennial mamas to find the balance and wellness in motherhood? And so I want y'all to have balance in motherhood, but I also want you all to find wellness. This topic of wellness is one that can feel scary and confusing and just kind of abstract at times because there's so many different ideas for what wellness might mean or what wellness might look like. I personally prefer using the term wellness over self-care, and I will tell you why. Uh, um, okay, how do I say this? Oftentimes when we're thinking about motherhood or women, we often hear the term self-care, right? And self-care is not, there's nothing negative about self-care at all. Self-care is very positive. It's a very positive thing. But what I have noticed is that whenever we talk about self-care, it tends to be those forms of self-care that are like the quick hitters, the really simple things you can do in the short term, right? So for instance, self-care, taking a bath, or self-care, getting your nails done, self-care, going to take 5 minutes to yourself, self-care, making sure you're eating breakfast that day. All of these things are necessary and good and needed. However, I tend to prefer the term wellness because wellness tends to be more holistic. It tends to be more comprehensive. It tends to be more encompassing. And so it's not just those one-time, very quick hitters that work in the short term, but more so thinking about how am I going to set up my life and my lifestyle so that it involves and encompasses wellness at all times. Do you see what I'm saying? So in my eyes, self-care is a version of wellness, but wellness is like the big girl that we're all striving for. We want to do self-care on a daily basis. We want to do self-care in the moments where we really, really need it. But ultimately, we're striving for complete and total wellness that, just kind of like gets all up in our lives and doesn't get out and interweaves itself in every decision we make, every thought we have, every choice we make. Wellness. That is the difference. And that's why you all rarely hear me saying self-care because I'm all about wellness. I want this to be a lifestyle. I don't want it to just be a one-time thing that you do when you're stressed out. So I say all that to say I want you all to have true and total wellness. And we are helping millennial mamas to find the wellness in motherhood because, as we know, when we become moms, it's really easy to let wellness and well being and our health fall off because it feels like less of a priority. However, we're learning that it is actually the top priority because it helps us do all the other hard things we do on a daily basis. So, how are we doing this in Balanced Working Mama? We are helping the mamas find wellness in so many different ways. One, we have our Motherhood Wellness Assessment. Our mamas in the community actually just wrapped up their first Motherhood Wellness Assessment for the year. Our founding members right now get to take our wellness assessment every single quarter, and which is dope because it gives them an idea of exactly what they should be focusing on in terms of their wellness. Every single quarter. And so from there, they get to develop wellness goals each month to target the areas that are not so strong. So we help mamas in that way just by giving them this wellness assessment where they actually can read the results, see personally for them where they need to be focusing on in their wellness. Two, we do it through education. The community is a really great source of education because we have events. I'm actually holding our Finding Wellness event in the next few weeks. But that is going to be the time where I actually really teach the mamas how to think about the 9 areas of wellness in motherhood. And so you might be thinking, well, what are these areas of wellness? And that's a valid question because, again, when we think about wellness, we don't often break it down into different areas of wellness. But I'm here to tell you wellness is not just one thing. Wellness is a lot of things. And there's a lot of different areas that you can focus on in terms of finding your wellness. And so, again, our Motherhood Wellness Assessment helps the mamas to know how they're doing in every single area of that. But then also we teach the mamas these areas so that they can always be aware of them at any time. The other big way that we really push wellness and Balanced Working Mama is that it's just our number one priority. That is our priority. We make wellness a priority. And so even within our community, we are always talking about us. We're always talking about the things that will help us become well, what help us be well, help us feel good. One thing that makes our community stand out from other motherhood communities is that our focus is us. Oftentimes in other motherhood communities, you notice there's a lot of conversation and discussion about parenting. And again, this is not a bad thing because I do believe and I do value education with regard to parenting because nobody is born with this. We actually do need to talk about this and have discussions and really figure out, okay, how do I do this new parenting thing that all the millennials are doing and that actually will help prepare my children to be better adults? That's a whole other topic, y'all. And we talked about that in the last few episodes with my girl Natasha. Either way, that's not our focus in our community. Our focus is us because oftentimes what happens is we jump to those other conversations first, those conversations about other people. And this is so common with women and especially mothers. Everyone else becomes the priority. And so we're constantly thinking about our kids. We're constantly thinking about what our kids need. We're constantly thinking about what our family needs. We're constantly thinking about what our spouse needs. And then we don't think about what we need until we absolutely have to because maybe we now have a health condition, or we absolutely have to because we're burnt out and exhausted and can't figure it out, or we absolutely have to because now we definitely need to book that therapy session because we can't get out of bed. You see what I'm saying? And so the Balanced Working Mama community forces us to put wellness first, and that's what we need so that we can become better parents. So, I want to walk you through 9 questions for determining how your wellness is in motherhood right now. So, I want to clarify this is not our motherhood wellness assessment. Our motherhood wellness assessment is 28 questions, and it is a very thorough assessment that provides you with individualized results for each category of that. But this, I hear my barking. I hear my dog barking upstairs, y'all, and it is very distracting. Y'all, I'm gonna get rid of that dog. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say that. That's mean. Anyways, look, y'all know these episodes be real. We're not recording this out Okay, let me get back to my train of thought. These 9 questions that I'm going to provide you give you a really quick snapshot for how you should be thinking about your wellness and whether there might be an issue or not. Okay, so similar to that, the other episode where I gave you all the 9 questions for balance, this is the 9 questions for wellness, and I want you to keep track of the ones that you answer yes to and the ones that you answer no to. Okay, all right, here we go. Question number 1. Have you struggled to care for your physical health? Have you struggled to care for your physical health? Yes or no? Number 2, do you feel disconnected from friends, family, or other social supports? Again, do you feel disconnected from friends, family, or other social supports? Number 3, has your mental health interfered with your ability to care for yourself, for your children, for um or Lord, I am stumbling over my words. Let me repeat this one. Has your mental health interfered with your ability to care for your children or to function? And so this means your ability to function at home or your ability to function at work. So, again, has your mental health interfered with your ability to care for yourself, your children, or to function? Number 4, have you disconnected or discontinued hobbies and activities after you became a mom? Have you discontinued hobbies or activities that you once enjoyed after becoming a mom? Number 5, do you struggle to find time for intellectual or creative pleasures? And so this could be things like reading, audiobooks, listening to podcasts, art, anything that it stimulates you intellectually or creatively. Number 6, have you felt dissatisfied about the support that you receive for home task or caring for children task? I'll repeat that one. Have you felt dissatisfied about the support that you receive for home or childcare task? Number 7, do you get less me time than you desire? Do you get less me time than you desire? And when I want to clarify, me time is time with you. Time with you. Okay? Time with you. Time for you. Okay. Number 8, are you dissatisfied with your work or career? Are you dissatisfied with your work or career? I like this question, and it's because oftentimes when we think about our wellness, we don't realize that how we feel about our work, our career, really plays a role in terms of our wellness. And so, if you do have a full time job or even a part time job and you just don't feel good about it, that's going to interfere with your wellness. And so, this is why this question is here. Number 9, do you often feel disorganized or lack good time management? Do you often feel disorganized or lack good time management? All right, y'all, those are the questions. And so, what I want you to do, I want you to take some time and really think about how many yeses did you have? And if you had one too many, that means that there's something going on with your wellness that is not right. Okay. There's an area of your wellness that needs some attention. There's an area of your wellness that really needs you to pay attention. And the thing about it is, our wellness, like I said earlier, is holistic, is comprehensive. And so, if there is one or two areas that's throwing it off, the whole thing is thrown off. So we really want to strive to have wellness in all of these areas with all of these questions. However, realistically, there might be moments in our lives where there's some up and down. Okay. But the beauty about our motherhood wellness assessment, the beauty about this really quick screener that I just provided you is that it gives you an idea of where you should start, where you should focus, and what you might want to try to do to alleviate some of those wellness concerns. Okay. Okay, mamas. If you did have a lot of yeses and it didn't feel good for you, I want you to consider a few things. One, what help do you need? What support do you need? What are you going to do to ensure that your wellness looks different starting now than it did before you listen to these questions? What is your plan? I want you to know that Balanced Working Mama, our community, can be a part of your plan. And I would love for you to become a part of our community because this is the very thing that we're helping mamas to do, to find the wellness in motherhood. Because again, I understand that wellness can feel like a low priority when there's so many other competing responsibilities, competing tasks or priorities. And this one is really, 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 really a top priority. And so, my goal and my passion this year is to help as many mamas as possible to really find the wellness, to find the balance, to prioritize their wellness needs so that they feel better. And so their babies can have the best mom possible. And being the best mom possible is not about doing all the things perfectly in parenting. It is about you feeling the best that you can about yourself and feeling good so that you can show up for them. But also, more importantly, show up for your damn self, okay? That's what it's about. We show up for ourselves, and that just naturally allows us to show up for other people better. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I hope that it gave you some things to think about. I hope that you will consider joining the Balanced Working Mama community. We are currently 70 members strong, and my plan is to open our community mid-March, early March, for more mamas to join us. So please add that to your calendar. Continue to listen to the updates. Join the email list so that you'll know exactly when we'll be opening our community so that you can join us. There's so many rich discussions, conversations, some really fun things happening in there as well. We have a weekly event every single week to help guide our mamas in some area of wellness or balance. And we just have fun in there, y'all. And it's constant support. So I'm happy for you all to join us, and I hope that you will in 2022. All right, y'all. Oh, I have one last request of you. I have one last question for you. I want to try something new with the podcast, okay? So what I want you to do is I would love for you all to send in questions that you might have about balance, about wellness, about motherhood, questions that you might have for me. And I want to feature those questions on future podcast episodes. And so the way that you would do that is to follow a link that I will put in the show notes that will allow you to record a really quick 1 minute or less voice message. And in your voice message, I want you to ask me a question or tell me something that you've been thinking about that you want to get my perspective on related to motherhood, balance, wellness, all of this stuff that we talk about. I would love to answer that on the podcast. I'd love to hear from you. It can be anonymous if you want. You could just simply state your question. Or if you want to introduce yourself and let me know who you are, you can do that too. Either way, I want to start featuring things like that more on the podcast so I can really address things that are concerning for you all or things that are top of mind for you. So I will be sure to include that link in the show notes. Of course, I'll be on my social media on Instagram talking a little bit more about this link as well. So feel free to go there, but also I'm going to make sure that it gets in the show notes today too. So I can't wait to get you all's questions, your comments, your thoughts, so that I can talk about those a little bit more on the podcast. And I will talk to you all soon. Hey, Mama. Thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.